Welcome to Told History, a channel where turning points of the past are transformed into cinematic sleep stories, woven with art and deep emotion. Here, we invite you to drift into histories, embrace discovering worlds both familiar and forgotten. If these journeys bring you comfort or spark your curiosity, please like and subscribe. Your support allows us to share the wonder of the past with more dreamers each night. Tonight, we'll gently unveil the story of the 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora, a moment so powerful it changed the course of seasons, art, and how people saw the world itself. Through calm narration and poetic glimpses into daily lives, you'll experience this dramatic chapter where nature's quiet unrest lingered on the fragile edge of a peaceful world, reshaping societies across continents. Chapter 1. A World Before the Veil. It is April 1815, and the lands surrounding Mount Tambora swell with life. In the valley shadows, villagers awaken to the chorus of birds, the scent of flowering trees, and the laughter of children running barefoot through dusty paths. The air is soft and undisturbed, a promise of another ordinary day gently unfolding beneath the ancient mountain's gaze. Farms spread in neat lines across the rolling foothills, kissed by morning sunlight and the hands of generations. Families tend to rice fields and cassava patches, trading quiet greetings as they work. Each moment is thick with timeless rituals, weaving baskets, stirring stews above crackling fires, calling livestock from the pastures. Life moves in rhythm shaped by seasons and the soft wisdom of the earth itself. Beyond the forests, the sea glimmers with promise, connecting distant islands and cultures by wooden ships and dreams. Travellers pass through these villages, traders with silk, poets carrying ink-stained books, wandering monks with quiet smiles. At night, letters are written by candlelight, destined for faraway lovers or curious friends, tying these tranquil communities to stories and hopes unfolding continents away. Under Tambora's gentle shadow, every sound is familiar. The groan of wooden cartwheels, the plink of rain against palm fronds, the sweet hum of evening insects. Elders tell stories by firelight, recalling centuries past when the world seemed unchanged and unchanging. Every generation believes their peace is permanent, that the mountain is only a silent guardian, not a restless force waiting just below. Each morning begins anew, maple and tamarind trees breathing out green freshness across villages and fields. The villagers greet the day's warmth with gratitude, believing in the certainty of sun and rain and gentle harvests. Sorrows are small and fleeting, a broken tool, a stubborn goat, a passing illness. People trust in tomorrow, hands worn but spirits woven with gentle certainty. In Europe, poets marvel at the beauty of distant lands, painting word pictures in diaries carried from port to port. Their letters describe a paradise of endless green, laughter, and the melody of simple lives. Farmers across continents, connected by sunrise and season, share quiet hopes for good harvests and peaceful days, unaware that far away, Tambora's secret tremors are growing restless. The world in 1815 is stitched together by invisible threads of trade, travel, and imagination. Silk routes wind over mountains, spices drift through markets from Java to London, and news travels slowly by ship or messenger. Though cultures and landscapes differ, each person believes in the gentle rhythm of nature, trusting that the world will continue to turn just as it always has. Beneath the mountain, the earth is restless with ancient memories. Deep within Tambora, pressure pulses in hidden veins, too quiet for the villagers above to notice. Children chase butterflies, lovers press wildflowers into books, and elders nap in the shade, all bathed in a false sense of safety. No eye yet glimpses the warning, no heart senses what lies ahead nature's next. Chapter still veiled in calm. Letters written in elegant hands make promises of summer festivals and bountiful harvests. Diaries are filled with sketches of sunlit fields and recollections of laughter ringing beneath endless stars. Everywhere, people look forward, planning celebrations and weaving hopes into every season. The world clings to its peaceful silence, not yet touched by the shadow of the mountain's coming storm. As dusk settles, lanterns glow in doorways, and gentle songs drift up toward the mountain. The land breathes in warmth, families gather, and prayers of gratitude are spoken softly before sleep claims the villagers. In this delicate peace, no one senses the tale about to change their lives. Forever the story of the night. The stars vanished has not yet begun to cast its shadow. Chapter 2. The Eruption Unleashed. Darkness gathered over Mount Tambora as rumbling shook the earth with a force unlike any before. In moments the mountain erupted, sending a plume of fire and ash miles into the sky. The peaceful routines of villagers below vanished instantly, replaced by a roar so deep it seemed to tear the world apart. Eyewitnesses watched in disbelief as daylight gave way to a suffocating, falling ash. The eruption unleashed rivers of fire and a thick, choking cloud. Within moments, the sky turned from bright blue to a strange, smoky twilight. The ground trembled, windows splintered, and the village air filled with cries of confusion. Some witnesses tried to capture the moment in hurried diary entries, trembling hands recording their terror. Others simply stared upward, awe and fear mingling as ash began to sweep across the land. From the mountain to the sea, ash fell relentlessly, coating rooftops and riverbanks in grey. The forests that once teemed with life were swallowed by shadows, their branches gently swaying beneath the growing weight. Animals scattered for shelter, their calls quickly lost in the mighty thunder. The eruption's deep rumbling was like an ancient drum, reverberating through every heart, each beat a reminder of nature's overwhelming power and unpredictability. This moment in time felt endless. Streaks of lightning crackled through rolling columns of ash, illuminating terrified faces for a single heartbeat before darkness closed in again. Some people huddled inside, listening as their world transformed outside. Others stood exposed, paralysed by wonder. Illustrated pamphlets would later try to capture these scenes, but no image could fully hold the sheer chaos and beauty drifting over the island that day. The eruption's thunder rattled distant towns. Ships riding the waves miles away reported seeing fountains of fire spraying from Tambora's crater, glowing even through the falling dusk. People wrote in their journals of an unnatural night arriving midday, a suffocating shadow that seemed to swallow every colour and sound. In some accounts, the air shimmered with heat and fear, as the world felt poised between creation and ruin. Children clung to their parents as the earth groaned beneath their feet. Volcanic rocks rained down, thudding against thatched rooftops, tearing through palm leaves, stirring panic in both humans and animals. The scent of sulphur swept across the land, stinging eyes and lungs. By now, even the bravest villagers realized that something monumental was unfolding. Disaster so immense that future generations would speak of this night when the stars themselves vanished. A blanket of darkness crept over rice fields and mountain paths. Voices faded, leaving only the deep rumble of the volcano and the steady, soft hiss of falling ash. In villages close to Tambora's slopes, silence took on an almost physical weight. Some described feeling lost in a world between dreams and waking. A landscape transformed beyond recognition by the eruption's quiet destruction and the chilling hush that followed its fury. That evening, villagers lit lanterns just to see one another's faces, yet the light barely pierced the gloom. Letters rescued from that grim time described the ash drifting down like sorrow itself, thick and unending, blanketing roads and gardens. In these moments, every movement slowed. The normal pace of life evaporated. Families stood together in awe and fear, sensing that history was being rewritten with every falling grain. Far away, artists and writers tried to capture news of Tambora, sketching apocalyptic visions of fire and darkness. Travellers' diaries, now stained with age, described the eerie calm that followed each explosion. Some wrote with trembling pens about a darkness unnatural and thick, suffocating every hope of dawn. It was as if the world's clock had stopped, pausing existence itself beneath a curtain of volcanic night. Contemporary illustrations showed blurred figures moving through streets filled with ash, faces hidden by cloths. Some gathered at church doors, praying for deliverance. Others wandered in search of loved ones, calling out into the deepening night. The eruption became a memory, not just of destruction, but of small, shared pockets of courage and kindness communities, forging moments of comfort in a world forever changed by the mountain's fury. Through diary pages now brittle with age, survivors detailed the peculiar silence that followed each new tremor. The familiar landscape was erased, replaced by a strange, drifting quiet broken only by the hiss of falling cinders. Children's toys and family treasures vanished under layers of grey. Yet even among the devastation, glimmers of resilience persisted, a sense that, in darkness, the human spirit still sought the smallest light. As the eruption continued through the night, its scale became clear. The land was buried, crops ruined, lives changed forever. But in that endless shadow, survivors bore witnessory, struck and fearful as the stars vanished from the sky. It was a night when the world seemed to pause and hold its breath, as if waiting for the first faint glow of morning to bring the promise of hope once again. Chapter 3. The Year Without a Summer. In the wake of Tambora's fury, the world held its breath. The summer sun, once a source of warmth and life, became a ghost behind veils of volcanic ash. Across continents, day after day, the world felt as if it stood in endless dusk. Under muted skies, families looked for sunshine and found only shadows, their hearts uneasy as the seasons slipped into uncertainty. In the green fields of New England, farmers woke to frost-biting at the edges of June. The earth was stubborn, refusing to yield its usual bounty. Even as birds sang, their songs haunted hollow chill. Crops withered, and the promise of harvest faded with every sunless dawn. Memories of abundance dissolved, and what remained was worry stories whispered over shared bread about how long this frozen mystery would last. Journeys took us across the Atlantic, where European villagers faced similar hardships. In France, wheat failed to sprout from cold, unyielding soil. In Switzerland, rain fell in sheets, drowning hopes and soaking feet as towns huddled for warmth. Markets ran empty, and neighbours offered what little they could spare. Old letters describe anxious meetings and hollow cupboards, but also gentle hands sharing crusts with strangers in need. Farther east, the monsoon patterns of Asia lost their rhythm, stumbling to new and sometimes devastating patterns. Rivers swelled or dried, confusing those who depended on their steady pulse. In India and China, rice fields suffered either floods or drought, forcing families to adapt overnight. Each evening, prayers drifted across villages as people looked upwards, searching for a sign that this strange season would end. The pain of hunger echoed on parchment and in paintings. Gentle brushstrokes captured shivering landscapes where summer colours had faded to mournful grey. Writers described evenings spent listening to the wind, fearing what tomorrow might bring. Yet, tucked within these records, glints of hope began to shimmer. Neighbours gathering for warmth, sharing soup, or raising gentle songs against the cold's quiet grip. Children in the shadowed cities of Europe found wonder in the unexpected snow in July, ice along the riverbanks. Stories were told by firelight, transforming hardship into folktale. The night sky, cleared by relentless chill, revealed constellations brilliant against the unfamiliar darkness. In the midst of struggle, imaginations wandered, crafting legends from the strange twilight that stretched across the world. Letters written during these months often carried both fear and resilience. From Boston to Bremen, people reached out for reassurance, sharing tales of scarcity, but also of generosity. Some received parcels from distant cousins, others gathered in candlelit rooms, pooling resources. Survival became a shared endeavour, stitching fragile communities together with threads of necessity and compassion. Artists, shaken by endless gloom, captured the changed world in sombre oils and watercolours. Sunsets burned red through ash-laden skies, while trees stood stark against dim horizons. These works, held in museums now, are silent testimonies brushes frozen in awe and sorrow. The world was both smaller and vaster, united for a brief moment in a hush that seemed almost sacred. Yet darkness breeds unrest. In the crowded alleys of cities, the price of bread soared and tempers flared. Protests erupted, and hungry voices echoed along stone streets. Some leaders responded with aid, while others with indifference or confusion. Within hardship, hope and anger marched side by side, each night colder than the last, each morning filled with uneasy anticipation. Despite all hardship, acts of kindness shone like lanterns in the fog. A baker might give away his last loaves to a neighbouring family. A stranger would share seeds from a hidden pouch. These quiet exchanges remind us that even when the world dims, human warmth can kindle light. Letters from that year describe gratitude for small mercies received unexpectedly. Stories passed through generations as gentle lessons. Through endless grey days, time seemed to warp and slow. Hope arrived in sudden bursts of clear morning, a handful of berries, or a friend's encouraging note. In Europe's villages, improvisation became art. Windows were sealed to keep in warmth, and meals stretched with roots or wild greens. From city to countryside, survival was shaped by creativity and shared determination. The year without a summer left more than frost on the ground. It left lasting marks on art, memory, and the ways people helped each other when the world itself seemed to unravel. As the sun returned at last, stories of compassion, loss, and tenacity became part of the world's tapestry. Looking back, we see that even across centuries, the shadows of hardship can be softened by gentle light. Chapter 4. Shadows on the Canvas. Out of the hush and uncertainty, new expressions begin to flicker to life. The dim world inspires artists and dreamers. Paint meets canvas while ink flows on pages, not in defiance of the gloom, but because of it. Each brushstroke and line becomes a way to see through shadows, turning sorrow into something profound and enduring. In this darkness, creativity breathes gently, finding its moment. London and Geneva are shrouded by mist and melancholy, but salons and parlours are alive with conversation. Stranger weather brings unsettling beauty. Turner's seascapes become otherworldly, luminous with a strange light. Across the Channel, writers and poets gather near candlelight, weaving ghost stories and verses shaped by longing. The gloom outside echoes within but refuses to smother hope, instead coaxing deeper colours and more daring visions from every soul. By lake and hearth, Mary Shelley listens to storm and silence. Lightning flashes beyond the windows, sparking imagination and fear. It is from this haunted atmosphere, thick with uncertainty, that Frankenstein is born, a story woven from questions of life, death, and the unknown. Shelley's words rise from the darkness, shaped by restless nights. The absence of summer does not stifle creation, but invites the marvellous and the monstrous into literature's embrace. These are artists who see potential in shadows rather than despair. John Constable sketches brooding skies above English fields, striving to capture that fleeting, solemn mood. Painters turn their eyes upward and outward, painting clouds with emotions and landscapes heavy with meaning. Every storm becomes a muse, every grey dawn a fresh canvas. Art in the year without summer holds a trembling hope, revealing how gloom can sharpen the senses and deepen creative longing. Words gather in journals, paintings dry slowly in chill garrets. There is patience in this creative struggle, a sense that beauty, like sunlight, must sometimes be coaxed from the clouds. Samuel Taylor Coleridge pens haunting verses, seeking solace in rhythm and metaphor. Conversations drift toward what the world has lost and what it might find, as bright ideas spring from necessity. Even the darkness has texture and depth when seen through the patient eyes of an artist. On quiet nights, poets and painters cherish the mysterious qualities of shadow. A candle flickers, casting stories on the wall, each one as fleeting as the summer that never came. Creativity is alive, not in spite of the gloom, but because of it. Loss gives way to longing, and longing transforms itself into art. Dreams stir in hushed corners and brushstrokes, quietly insisting that even a dimmed world holds space for hope and beauty. Across Europe, salons become spaces of shared imagination. Friends gather around fires, their faces lit by storytelling and reflected dreams. They invent new worlds to escape or explain their own, using the shadows as both backdrop and inspiration. Ideas drift through these rooms like smoke, soft, searching and electric with promise. The darkness presses at the edges, but inside, the spirit of invention glows steady, fed by longing and the desire to create. J.M.W. Turner's paintings glow with unreal light, capturing skies spun from storm and memory. His work becomes a testament to resilience, finding colour even in the muted world. Clouds are painted not as obstacles, but as vessels for radiant possibility. Turner's brush teases gold from gloom, inviting viewers to gaze upward and imagine warmth beyond the shadow. Each canvas feels true to the moment, and also to a greater longing for renewal. Mary Shelley, Lord Byron, and Percy Shelley gather at Villa Diodati, their conversations charged by thunder and flickering candlelight. The stories they share of monsters, fate, and the unknown are shaped by the strange times they inhabit. What might have been a sombre isolation becomes, instead, a crucible for myth and memory. Their ideas, like sparks in the darkness, will travel far beyond that midnight summer, kindling imaginations for generations. Not all creation is grand or thunderous. Some is quiet letters written in careful script, sketches made from a frost-covered window. Ordinary people document the skies, the failing crops, the strange luminous evenings. Their quiet observations join the chorus of artistic voices. Simple act singing, writing, drawing become gestures of hope. Through their eyes, we glimpse how even daily routines become acts of resilience when touched by art and shared dreams, With each new work, be it poem, painting, or whispered tale, the world moves slightly away from despair. Creativity does not banish the night, but it changes how the night is felt and remembered. The year without a summer becomes more than hardship. It is also the year that inspired countless acts of making and imagining. These legacies remind us that from the deepest shadows, the desire for beauty only grows stronger, and hope endures. As the gloom lingers, a subtle transformation shifts through the collective heart. Artists, poets, and dreamers bathed in ash, longing, and uncertain light leave behind not a chronicle of only sorrow, but a tapestry threaded with resilience. The enduring stories and images that arise from this darkness echo long after the sky clears, offering comfort. Creativity, born of struggle, reveals that every shadow is an invitation for beauty to break through and stay. Chapter 5. Dawn returns, shadows remain. As the world breathes anew, the ash that once turned days to dusk finally surrenders to the winds. Fields green with hope, and harvests find their way again to grateful hands. Towns hum quietly with the music of rebuilding, each stone and beam a testament to endurance. Yet, across every sunrise, the memory of darkness flickers, a reminder that shadows and dawn walk hand in hand. In the wake of Tambora, life slowly knits itself back together. Markets reopen, laughter finds echoes once more, and children chase sunlight through streets no longer clouded by gloom. Still, in hushed conversations and old weathered paintings, the ghost of that vanished summer lingers. Its lessons are carved into the hearts of survivors, teaching them to cherish warmth and hope, and to honour the resilience that pulled them onward. Artists sought to capture the ethereal gloom, their canvases blooming with skies tinged in haunting, volcanic reds and greys. Poets wandered lonely, threading sorrow and awe into verse. Across Europe, composers translated restless nights and unfamiliar cold into music that trembled with longing. The shadow of Tambora did not merely fade. It shaped how people dreamed, saw beauty, and felt the world beneath their feet. Scientists, too, looked to the heavens, searching for answers in the twilight. They tracked odd sunsets, charted temperature drops, and wondered at the stars gone missing behind smoky veils. Discovery grew hand in hand with grief, human curiosity kindling amidst catastrophe. What once seemed chaos slowly became knowledge, each observation unveiling nature's mystery and urging wiser stewardship of a world so fragile and grand. Throughout villages and great cities, the tale of Tambora became a story whispered by firelight. Elders spoke of crops lost and starlit nights undone, but always ended with new dawns, rebuilt homes, and laughter returned. These stories did not merely mourn. They celebrated how families and strangers bound together, igniting a sense of shared fate. In adversity, compassion grew, rippling far beyond the shadow of one mountain. The world's calendars marked the years before and after the darkness. Hungry summers became distant memory, but their echo lingered in rituals and remembrances. Festivals danced with gratitude for sunshine. Each harvest season was met with reverent joy. Even as the natural order crept back, people did not forget how thin the thread of comfort truly was, nor how precious each new day could feel. In quiet, contemplative hours, some gazed up, searching for stars, for light once lost. The night sky was forever changed in legend and in science. Astronomers recalled missing constellations and pale moons. Children, years later, listened for tales of when darkness swallowed the world. Through story and science alike, awe for the heavens deepened, making wonder and humility the legacy of that vanished light. Tambora's shadow wove itself into the fabric of dreams. Nightmares softened into lessons reminding all that darkness comes, but so does morning. Artists, scientists and storytellers forever bore witness to nature's power. Mournful, yes, but also filled with new inspiration, as if the world itself offered a reminder. Beauty and sorrow often bloom together, and, just as surely, hope can rise from ash. With every passing season, the scars left by Tambora faded from the earth, but not from memory. Families retold the story across generations, each adding their own threads of courage and compassion. Children planted seeds, learning to nurture what might grow back, knowing well that uncertain times may come again. The wisdom gleaned from shadows lingered, shaping how hearts would hold both fear and faith. Art galleries and museums quietly preserved relics of that strange, relentless year. Paintings rich in smoky reds and pale blues hung beside letters and journals, voices from the past preserved in delicate script. Visitors traced their fingers along the glass, feeling the weight of history as both a warning and a wonder, a quiet connection to ancestors who endured and found beauty even in darkness. Historians and poets pondered Tambora's place in the tapestry of time. Its eruption was an ending and a beginning, an event etched into landscapes and legacies. Each telling brought new understanding, from the shivering artists dreaming through endless night, to the farmers rejoicing in sunlit fields. Across nations and generations, the spirit that rose from calamity inspired a gentler vision for the future. Now, as stars return to the night sky, the world holds quiet gratitude. The darkness once cast by Tambora became a frame for the Dawner story carried in every grateful gaze and every painted sunrise. Humanity, tested but unbroken, learned to seek beauty amid uncertainty, to carry the memory of ash not as burden, but as a foundation for resilience and wonder. So ends the story, where light and shadow entwine,